Hey guys, welcome back. We have a midweek energy update that we're going to get into today. And I do think, as I've discussed in my past couple of videos, and I still feel that way, things are trending positive. Things are probably looking up a bit. And we could really be learning some things this week that help us to solve some problems, like find some solutions, remedy maybe some like lingering situations. This is a very good week to find our way out of things that just are not a good match for us anymore. Also, there is something about quality over quantity in the energy of this week as well. Now, we also have a Venus South Node conjunction that is present on Thursday of this week and moving through the weekend. This is bringing up perhaps people, places, situations that we have loved or been attached to or connected to or just like found value in and held on to for some reason from the past. Memories, nostalgia, being kind of like caught up in a moment. That could be something that we're dealing with this week as well. So we've got some things to talk about in our report for today, you guys. Let's get into it. Let's take a deeper look at all that we've got going on and coming together for us as we open the month of October and what things are looking like for us as we move through the rest of the week and prepare to start moving through this month. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you guys stick with me until the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us today as well. I like to tap the energy field for more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews just to get an alternative energetic perspective on what's going on out there. So there could be some messages in there for you. We're gonna do that at the end. We have some astrology to get into. I think things are trending positive. I have been talking about this now this past couple of videos. I do think an energetic shift occurred this past weekend that kind of has been bringing us in this more optimistically oriented direction. We had a really tough eclipse season followed right up by a very volatile, powerful, intense Mars-Pluto square. Now the main energy this week has to do with a Mercury-Jupiter square. While this is still a square aspect and there are still a couple things that we do need to watch out for, and we'll be talking about it in the report for today, this is just a whole lot more positively oriented, like success, victory, winning, like good news, big good opportunities, solutions, answers, remedies, rather than like pain and strife and trials and tribulation and suffering that may have been quite characteristic of this past couple of weeks. So I do think that things are looking up. I do think that things should be feeling a bit more doable, like life generally is just kind of like on the incline a bit. And I really think that there's a quite great potential to like gain some type of information or answer or solution or remedy that helps us to recover from something, release something, heal something that may have been quite chronic or lingering or that we've been like attached to or connected to for a very long period of time. There's like a growth oriented mindset coming through here. Also wisdom through experience. There is like we have a strong Chiron influence this week, and we're going to be talking about it, and you might be talking about it, and you might hear other people talking about it, because this is Chiron and Mercury, like reflecting on, thinking about, talking about, discussing the ways that we have been wounded in the past, maybe like what we've learned from past experiences, or trying to gain some insight into what we need to do to heal or to recover or to move on from something. And advice, like getting advice from, somebody that you trust is also highly indicated for like successful outcomes in the energy this week as well. Mercury also has to do with like conversing with another person in the sign of Libra. There could definitely be some benefits or some gains or some wisdom or some truth that come from just being in discussion, having dialogues, having conversations, airing things out as well. Another dimension of this energy, I think, has a lot to do with maybe saying the things that have been unsaid, or gaining like closure in situations somehow, or like unfinished business seems to have a relevancy to me this week as well. So those are all some kind of general themes. I mean, Mercury and Jupiter in Chiron, Jupiter squaring both Mercury and Chiron as they move into opposition with one another throughout the week, which will come exact on Friday. That is where that like pondering over the ways that we've been wounded in the past, what maybe, it's caused within us, or how it's affected our self concept or our perception of ourselves somehow. That's sort of, I think, what we're dealing with. But with the Jupiterian square there, it really is like figuring out how to get over that. And then the other thing of significance that we've got going on this week is the Venus South Node conjunction in the sign of Virgo. That is people, places, situations that we've loved, material possessions even, like that we've loved from the past, being kind of top of mind. We've got Venus in the sign of Mercury, and we've got Mercury in the sign of Venus right now. Very interesting mutual reception between those two planets as they're both in significant aspects this week. Definitely there could be some shifting preferences and values, and like attraction, what we're attracted to could be changing in this energy as well. And there could be, again, like situations, people, places that we've loved from the past, for some reason maybe just consuming our thoughts or being top of mind, or we may literally be hearing from some people from the past as well. But as I said, closure, unfinished business, like gaining some understanding in order to release ourselves from something, that I think is the direction that we are going to find the most success in this energy. Chiron has to do with breaking cycles. The South Node has to do with karmic release. So karmic connections, karmic attachments, like karmic like soul ties and stuff like that. These could be relevant this week, but I do think that it's most likely in the context of some type of an awareness of truth we're gaining that helps us to break a cycle or reorient our mind in such a way that we are able to leave the past in the past and feel more optimistic about the potential of some type of maybe like new and different future. Of course, Mercury squaring Jupiter, this does indicate the potential for some type of like news or announcement or like communication message that is being received somehow or that is going out. And also another thing to be aware of in the energy specifically of Wednesday, let's talk a bit about Wednesday now. I've been kind of summarizing Wednesday and Thursday and just like the general state of things this week, but Wednesday specifically, we start out the day actually with the moon in Capricorn having just opposed Jupiter and squared Chiron. So that again, as we get started on Wednesday, those Chiron elements are being quite emphasized. We actually kind of have a grand cross going on with the moon in Capricorn, Jupiter in Cancer, Mercury in Libra, and Chiron in Aries. So we could be maybe like coming up against something that is agitating us in such a way that it's causing us to like seek answers, seek solutions, seek remedies. Wouldn't be surprised about that. But then as soon as the moon leaves the sign of Capricorn, which happens relatively quickly, relatively early in the day on Wednesday, the moon will enter the sign of Aquarius and of course come into a conjunction with Pluto and a trine to Uranus. Now that would be another energetic indication of maybe receiving some of these answers, some of these deeper truths, like sudden epiphany, flash of insight, something hitting us out of nowhere, discovering something, root issues, root causes, and have like some type of information being highlighted or some type of insight being gained pertaining to what's been hidden or unresolved maybe in the past. So the moon's transit through the sign of Aquarius, or beginning the moon's transit through the sign of Aquarius on Wednesday, is adding to or boosting up, I think, the Jupiter-Mercury dynamic that we've got going on. And of course, the moon transiting through the sign of Aquarius Wednesday and Thursday will be trining both the sun and Mercury, transiting the sign of Libra right now. So aside from this Mercury-Jupiter square that is uplifting things generally, positively orienting the nature of the mental energy right now, the moon in Aquarius is also contributing to this more harmonious energy that we've got present this week. So I do think it should be kind of a smooth week, and there is an internal like balance kind of, or a greater sense, I think, of like inner peace probably as well than there has been for a while now. Now, of course, Wednesday could be a very strange day with the moon conjoining Pluto and trining Uranus and Gemini, while Mercury squaring Jupiter. There could be unexpected or highly transformative things going on in our mind or in our heart, or in terms of the information or ideas or conversations that we're having or that we're involved in on Wednesday. With Mercury in Libra and Venus conjoining the South Node in Virgo, you could, of course, as I've mentioned, hear from someone from the past, like direct message, email, communication, written and verbal communication with Venus in the sign of Virgo. And these messages or communications could lead to a greater awareness or understanding of maybe like why things happened a certain way or the way they did, and lead to perhaps this closure or like resolutions in terms of things that are unfinished that also seem to be indicated. With Mercury and Jupiter both aspecting Chiron this week as well, healing from old wounds, breaking cycles. There could be financial. This is a very financial oriented week as well. Chiron has to do with like wealth and value and money, and Venus also has to do with money and resources and assets and possessions and, you know, material things and wealth. And Libra also has to do with money and reciprocity and balance, and Mercury, of course, is in the sign of Libra. So there could be like a heavy financial thing that is going on, and it could have to do with like deals and negotiations and investments and purchases that would definitely be indicated with Mercury Jupiter square. Also partnerships and stuff like that, financial partnerships could be prominent themes this week, but also things having to do with patterns of thought and behavior and past connections and past attachments that may have perpetuated some type of pattern that is like being highlighted or being altered or, you know, being emphasized or being changed somehow this week as well. How to heal or process something, or information about healing, maybe also relevant topics of conversation with the Chiron dynamic. Could be on Wednesday with that early Capricorn moon especially, but Jupiter in Cancer squaring Mercury in Libra opposite Chiron in Aries, or something about, you know, really reflecting maybe on ways that we've been wounded or how painful relationship dynamics from the past maybe have affected us. But that Jupiterian push right there in the sign of Cancer, this is like, how do I heal my home base, really, like my internal core, the wisdom or the information or the truth that helps us to release something. The truth can set you free. Like that may also be a vibe for some reason this week. Mercury and Jupiter in square, typically like this standard Mercury Jupiter square information, usually a fortunate transit, brings feelings of optimism and positivity about life generally. People are inclined to make big plans, set long-term goals under this influence, as well as to examine more closely maybe the plans and goals that they already have or have already set in place. This energy for sure does give the advantage of an aptitude to see the bigger picture. It broadens our horizon and it expands our purview and gives us an elevated viewpoint into things. We are able to think about things also more in terms of the bigger picture or like large structures, and it is definitely a visionary energy for sure, especially with Mercury and Venus in mutual reception, Mercury in Libra, Venus in the sign of Virgo. This does give us a very strong ability to plan the details and things that are necessary to make this a favorable time for commercial transactions, business deals. These types of things should go well. But again, it is very important that we are not sloppy, okay? This is a square. Squares are generally the most challenging aspects and can present obstacles and like just blocks and things that we need to persevere through and to overcome. Jupiterian squares tend to be the least harsh of the planets in square. Venus squares often aren't that critical either, but there are still some things that, if we are aware of them, it can help us to make the most of this energy. And the kind of like implications of the square when we're talking about Mercury and Jupiter have to do with our ability to do things in the right way, to plan properly, to implement that foresight, and to not just get too full of ourselves, get like too big of a head, too big of a mouth, or prematurely like jump into things or like overcommit or overinvest. There can be sort of like an overzealousness to like get in there when we've got this type of energy going on. But I will also say, because of the nature of this transit, it is also very easy to correct the mistakes that we may be making if we are able to gain an awareness of them, which this energy supports our ability to do. So if you find yourself, kind of rushing forward or making a couple mistakes, this is a very good energy to turn it around simply through making the corrections that we need to make. And generally also with the Venus South Node conjunction, this is also a fantastic time to correct mistakes maybe that we've made in the past, people seeking to make amends, clear the air, resolve old issues. For like the fourth time I'm saying it, this unfinished business, like things left unsaid, finding ourselves in a position where we have the opportunity to say whatever needs to be said or to do whatever we need to do so that we can release whatever that is, maybe that we've been carrying, maybe that we've been attached to, but again, like is just not aligned with the current trajectory of our future somehow. So these are things to be mindful of in this energy. Plan things carefully. Do not overlook the details. Rushing, being sloppy, going overboard, arrogance, missing important like small aspects. These are what we want to watch out for. The ability to think bigly in large terms is the strength here, but the inclination to speak with maybe like a sense of self-righteousness or arrogance or without care for the necessities or the small details, this is the weakness. So as long as we are aware of that and acting accordingly, there can be very good results, success, wins, gains, okay? So try to remain flexible if possible in your point of view this week. Try not to assume that you have all the answers. This can be and lean into the know-it-all energy sometimes with a Mercury square Jupiter, and that is where this energy will work against you with business relations, transactions, sales, purchases, commitments, partnerships, decisions. Be sure that you have all of the facts and information correct. Avoid moving forward prematurely or without all the accurate details. Moderating optimism with practicality, I think, is the balance that we kind of should be looking to strike this week. Could be helpful, trying to, be in that place. And again, being aware that simply correcting mistakes in this energy can actually lead to greater growth, success, and more positive outcomes. Gaining an awareness of what is off and what is not working and seeking solutions leads to success this week as well. Just the way that all these transits are kind of interplaying with one another. The moon transiting through the sign of Aquarius, trining the sun, trining Mercury in Libra Wednesday and Thursday of this week. As I mentioned a minute ago, this is promoting the sense of harmonious energy flow, expanding our thinking, and assisting the resolution of these past issues that the Libra Mercury and square to Jupiter and Cancer is also bringing. So make goals, set plans this week, just be meticulous about it. And with the moon Pluto conjunction and the moon trining Uranus as well on Wednesday, this could be like deep conversations that shine a light on something or that trigger some random epiphany, some sudden light bulb moment, figuring something out. Jupiter is like the mentor, and Mercury is conversation and communication and the mind. There is, I think I said this earlier also, there can be wisdom like sincerely gained through the advice of another person. Very beneficial advice can come through Wednesday and Thursday as well. So if you've got an issue talking to a friend or talking to like a counselor or talking to some type of like wise man or woman or whoever, like somebody that you have respect for and you consider to carry that kind of like wise man or mentor energy, there can be gains made through connecting with people such as that in like seeking out answers this week. Now on Thursday, let's talk about Thursday now. We will still have the Mercury Jupiter conjunction underway. We will still have Mercury opposite Chiron, Jupiter squaring them both. That Mercury Chiron is coming exact on Friday. As I said, the Mercury Jupiter was exact on Wednesday. So we're kind of right in between there on Thursday. But this is when the Venus South node energy really starts to be very strong in its alignment, and that will carry through the energy of Saturday and this weekend. As I've mentioned, this is the activation that is bringing forth the old memories, relationships from the past being on our mind or in our thoughts. You could hear from some old love or partner or friend or someone that you've cared for or been connected to or loved in the past. This could also have to do with like old work colleagues or business partners or something like that. In the sign of Virgo, in writing, like verbal or written communication, verbal contact could also, though, be about purging or releasing old attachments that we've been carrying in our heart that maybe we're gaining some type of perspective into in such a way that we like no longer need to do that anymore. It could also pertain to material possessions or resources, assets, financial ties, commitments, things that we are letting go or maybe thinking about letting go. Could be related to style or image or like some type of aesthetic or design or presentation. Value and preferences, I believe, are likely to be shifting in this energy. This could also have to do with like old work situations or things that we've done in the past, or like our habits and our routines and what we do on the day to day, maybe deciding that we need to make some changes there, or we are like not getting out what we're putting into something, and as a result of that, something needs to change. For a lot of people, this could indicate getting rid of things that just like no longer suit them, or they no longer find beautiful or comfortable or valuable or attractive. I think a lot of people might kind of just be purging like their closet or getting rid of like things in the house. This is also a very good week to like streamline your organizational flow or your workspace. Beautifying your home or your work environment also is strongly supported for positive results in this energy. It's a good week to release things that no longer represent value in our lives or diminish our own sense of self-worth or personal value somehow. This could also have to do with, as I've mentioned, and remember, we are still in Virgo season right now. We had 2 Virgo new moons. We've had 2 Virgo seasons like back to back over this past month, or we've just had like a very, very strong, powerful Virgo season, one that is unlike a Virgo season that we have had since 1999. A couple of videos back, I talked about that as well. But we're still in the lunar cycle that was housing our eclipse energy, which was also really about changing patterns, changing the way that we are doing things systemically and fundamentally in order to get different results. So that energy is still being highlighted with Venus conjoining the South Node. The eclipses were a result of the sun and the moon in aspect to the nodes of the moon, and now we've got Venus there as well. So this is going to have to do with getting rid of things that are functioning as any type of blockage or hindrance to growth at this point in time, or are just like over cluttering our lives in a way that prevents our ability to be receptive to whatever universe wants to bring us right now and at this point of time. Of course, a lot of people are going to be responding unconsciously to that and just naturally feeling compelled, I think, to like get rid of some stuff at this time throughout the course of the week, maybe heading into the weekend as well. People may also be like moving money or resources around, divesting from things that they like no longer want to be involved in or connected to or aren't attracted to or like don't fit the bigger vision that is also coming through right now. Remember, there's also this visionary energy. There could be like new concepts of like a new vision for the future, people redefining that which they feel is like bringing them a deeper level of like soul fulfillment and wanting to reorganize their lives accordingly. Remember, Jupiter's in the sign of Cancer. That has to do with our emotions and our feelings and like our internal home base, like where we derive a sense of internal comfort and security and fulfillment. And with the Venus South Node, it's like letting go of old ideas of what we thought we desired or wanted, or what we thought that fulfillment might have been, as we're like simultaneously having our perspective expanded in such a way that maybe shows us the truth of what it is that we really truly need and we really truly desire on like those deeper soul-based levels right now. So that could definitely be part of it as well. But you know, thought patterns, organizational systems in any way that have like not been getting the returns or diminishing growth, or that have not been like producing the results that we intended, or that would reflect the investment that we've put in one way or another. It could be time to just kind of like pull those roots out and like start planting something new. So I do think it's kind of like a culling energy for excess or irrelevancy with the Venus Mercury mutual reception and Venus in the South Node in the sign of Virgo. This is also super like simplifying, minimalizing, refining energy, which is kind of contradictory to the very excessive Mercury Jupiter energy that's going on. But again, like that's why I keep saying the more simple, more put together, more neat, more tidy, more organized, more refined, more like pared back, but you know, very straightforward in purpose and point that you can be right now, the greater your chances of victory, growth, and expansion. Because Jupiter is seeking to expand what's going on with Mercury, but Mercury's in the mutual reception with Venus conjunct the South Node. So the growth, the success, and the expansion is going to come through the fusion of the Venus Mercury Virgo, not Gemini, Virgo Mercury energy, which is all about things being orderly, things being put together, things being streamlined, things being refined, and things like presenting in terms of the like quality over quantity mainframe. Okay, so the more you do that in presentation and delivery, the better results you're going to get. This is, again, a fantastic week for learning, gaining some type of understanding, and through that making important, maybe big changes, choices, or decisions. With the Chiron situation, there could definitely be an element of heartache or wounding that is involved somehow, that we're experiencing, that we're going through, or that we're reflecting on. But I am seeing this as a week that is more about release, answers, solutions, and healing than perpetuating any type of suffering that may be associated with that Chiron energy. We are learning the truth about things, gaining wisdom in the process. The degrees where that Mercury-Jupiter square taking place, 22 degrees of Libra and 22 degrees of Cancer, we would read as the 23rd degree in terms of the same being symbol placement whenever we are reading symbolism associated with degree placement placement, we always round up a degree. We read the wave of energy that is coming in, not the wave of energy that is waning out, that is dissipating. So 23 degrees of Libra, the Mercury placement, that Sabian symbol is Chanticleer's voice heralds the rising sun with exuberant tones or with enthusiastic tones. And then the same degree, 23 Cancer, where Jupiter is, that Sabian symbol is the meeting of a literary society. So coming together to discuss maybe what we've read or what we've learned or what we've discovered, maybe, or, to find answers or just to have some in-depth discussions about things with people who are like-minded or who are on the same page as us for one reason or another, indicated through the Jupiter placement again. And Jupiter is the mentor. Jupiter is the guide. Jupiter is faith and trust and truth. So another indication that the meeting of the minds is a beneficial tool this week. But then that Mercury degree as well. It's like a new day, a new outlook on life, heralding the rising sun, this positive, future-focused mental attitude, like heralds the rising sun with enthusiastic tones, enthusiastically looking forward to the new day that is before us, maybe doing so with the support or the assistance or being on the same page somehow as others. So that is the degree placement for the position of these planets in their square. I feel like it is very aligned with the just general flow of energy that we've got going on this week. And that's basically what I have to say for our astrology report. Use this week to make plans, make some big plans, to set some goals for things that you want to work for. Learn things this week. We are very supported in our endeavors and our efforts to both get to the bottom of something and to expand our understanding of something in a way that helps us to release, move on from something, or maybe tie up some type of loose end or reprioritize our values or what it is that we really want. It is very possible to kind of like redirect the course of our lives and the energy of this week. And that would make sense, you guys, coming out of that very powerful and transformative eclipse season that was all about altering karmic patterns, breaking cycles that we are coming out of right now. So that's what I think about the astrology. That's how I think we should use the energy this week. In terms of our tarot reading, I feel like these cards are kind of indicating some of the same. We have the 10 of Cups coming out in reverse, and then we've got the Temperance card in reverse. We also have the Devil card in reverse with the 7 of Swords. Again, I feel like this is discovering some higher truth about what we really need to feel balanced and fulfilled on like an emotional, internal, soul-based level. There could be some ways that our power has been stolen in the past, or the ways that we've been wounded or deceived maybe by past connections or past attachments or toxic relationship dynamics, people, situations, how that has taken us out of our power, what that has taken from us, but also what we've learned in that process and what we are in a process now of coming to realize is no longer the suitable ideal. I had a recent tarot message that was saying a lot of the same thing. I can't remember if it was the last video or one of the ones from last week, but there does seem to be something going on right now, and this makes sense also in the context of this Venus South Node conjunction about reprioritizing ideals, reevaluating what we want. The 10 of Cups is like the gold at the end of the rainbow. It's like what brings us our like highest personal ideal of soul fulfillment, emotional fulfillment, emotional abundance and connection and positive relationships that are the like meaning in our lives and things along those lines. Temperance is also an energy that's associated with Jupiter, and it has to do with establishing like a higher perspective in a way that allows us to balance things out. It also has to do with fulfillment and seeing the truth and knowing or being able to, like, internally in and of ourselves, be more in touch with what our own personal truth really is, in a way that allows us to kind of balance varying dimensions of our lives. And, you know, with this lineup, it's like the Devil in reverse, the Seven of Swords, like toxic connections in the past that we're no longer dealing with because we've realized the extent to which they've stolen our power or taken us out of our power, or just kept us in maybe like a state where we've been lying to ourselves about what it is that we really want. Some type of internal soul reckoning having to do with coming to terms with our own perception of fulfillment, our own ideal of greatness, as opposed to maybe more superficial ideals or more superficial purposes or pursuits that we thought we wanted, but for whatever reason we're coming to realize just don't hold the value we thought that they did. And therefore we are in the process of reconsidering what we're going to continue to like strive after and, I don't know, pursue going forward, which seems to be kind of what the astrology is also indicating for the week. So this is all trying to bring us back to a place of self-empowerment as well. Like, that is another kind of like undercurrent that is just persistent right now with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, trining Uranus in the sign of Gemini. This whole period of time on the deeper levels has a lot to do with awakening us to these more authentic truths that have been existing, you know, deep within us, that perhaps we have been unaware of, or kind of just like pushing down, suppressing, repressing. More and more those are going to rise to the surface and emerge in the consciousness of individuals, that is also perpetuating this process of helping us to like reevaluate what it is that we really want and idealize and desire. And that is going to reconfigure the direction of things and what we're pursuing moving forward as well. So it all comes together, you guys. Now we're going to get one more card, one final card, final piece of advice. This is a Synchronicity card. I'm asking God, Spirit, Universe, oh, we've already got our card, what we need to be aware of as we move through the rest of our week. And you guys, Jupiter, the purveyor of truth, like, very prominent in his impact this week. Our card obviously says honesty pays. The righteousness of the perfect shall direct his way, but the wicked shall fall by his own wickedness. Proverbs 11:5 seems to be, I would say this is right on par with the energy of this week astrologically, and also that tarot message. Let all you do be done with love, honesty, and integrity. Don't do anything you know to be wrong. If you hurt another, you are only hurting yourself. Honesty is the best policy. So aside from the like organization and simplicity that benefits us in this energy, honesty is also going to help us in achieving our means or objectives, or just like having good outcomes and results this week. Remember, Jupiter, honesty, truth, honor, integrity. The more that we align with the Jupiterian principles, and the more that we present ourselves or align our mind and our thoughts with the Virgo principles, just the better it's going to go all the way around. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys. I would really appreciate it if you did. Share it with your friends if you think that they would also enjoy this type of astrology content. Leave me comments. Let me know what's going on with you out there. If you are having experiences that do align with what I'm talking about in this video and any of the videos, drop me a comment, tell me about it, let me know. That's very valuable information to me. I'm so grateful for your presence on my channel. Thank you guys all so much for being here. I love you all. If you want to see the full picture of this whiteboard back here, I will take a picture of it and post it in a Facebook group that I have, which is linked in my description box below. So if you want to see that, that's where you can find it. And come back with me on Friday, you guys. We have another weekend, obviously, a weekend energy update that we're going to be getting into. Chiron is going to be the theme of the weekend. Wounded healer, teacher, master, karmic cycles being broken, lessons learned, wisdom gained through experience, all of that and more. And I will be back to talk all about it. So you don't want to miss it, you guys. I will see you this weekend. I will see you Friday. Have a beautiful midpoint of your week. And until next time, bye, guys.